Hugh Jackman talks about why he turned down Cats. No. Hugh Jackman talks as if... Hugh Jackman talks if he'll return as Wolverine for Hulk versus Wolverine movie. That sounds better. That sounds a lot better. I didn't see Cats.
Release the butthole cut.
Of the Wolverine movie?
Yes.
Ugh.
And Justice League and Cat.
We're going to watch from the CW. I mean, Cosmic Wonder. Oh! Clickbait.
Okay.
How's it going, everybody? It's Warren. Welcome back to my channel, The Cosmic Wonder, where we talk about all things relating to Marvel and, of course, the MCU. We have had some major news just recently be dropped yesterday and today. Mark Ruffalo talks about returning as the Hulk, not only returning for a TV series, She-Hulk, but also whether or not he's going to return for his own movie or team-up film and what that film could be about. Not to mention that Taika Waititi has recently teased that Hulk could show up in Thor Love and Thunder. And also, Mark Ruffalo mentioned again a Hulk versus Wolverine film. And to top it all off, we have Hugh Jackman talking about whether or not he is actually considering coming back to Marvel to play Wolverine. So we'll first start off by
intentionally
going over
avoided
the
news so I could react to this video,
where he talked about the Hulk, and then go into the Hugh Jackman interview talking about Wolverine. If you're new, be sure to subscribe with notifications turned on.
So
stay
close,
on
man.
Happening in the
So
MCU.
close to
Also,
550K.
Xbox One or a PS4 at 550,000 subscribers.
So
almost
close.
there. So this first interview is with Mark Ruffalo and Variety, and it's the interview where he drops another Hulk versus Wolverine bomb. Now, of course, everybody wants Mark Ruffalo to return to play the Hulk. Not everybody was completely satisfied with his story arc in Avengers Endgame. And as it turns out, as revealed by Variety, Mark Ruffalo wants to return to play the character as well. Now, we've heard Mark Ruffalo kind of talk about him returning to the MCU, and we've heard him say that he's had meetings with Kevin Feige to talk about the future of the Hulk and see if there's anything.
Was that supposed to be like the end of his thing?
Think that he's definitely returning, which would make a ton of sense. But here's what he had to say on the subject. When saying that he would like to return, he also added, "There's nothing completely out of place where it's a done deal. There's some talk of having Banner / the Hulk show up in the Disney Plus series She-Hulk if we come up with something good. That would be really interesting. Right now, that's about it. That's all there is on the table." However, he then went on to talk about a stand-alone Hulk film and what he would like to see if that happened. And he said, "There's an idea that I think could be really interesting. We never really followed him into his life. He's always kind of off on the side. He's like the Rosencrantz and the Guildenstern of the Avengers. It'd be interesting to fill in all the blanks about what happened to him in between all these movies." Which is kind of what they did in Thor Ragnarok at the end of Avengers Age of Ultron.
That's when you
the
came
Hulk left. Nobody knew what happened to him until Thor Ragnarok. But Mark Ruffalo wants an entire solo Hulk film dedicated to what he's done. But of course, before the ending, he again went on to say that he would love to see a Hulk vs. Wolverine film, and he explained why. The interview explains that Mark Ruffalo grew up reading comics, but specifically Marvel Comics, X-Men, and Wolverine.
Can you guys see
and he
it?
says that now that Disney / Marvel has purchased Fox, and with it the rights to the X-Men characters and films and Wolverine, maybe Hulk and Wolverine could go. Now, mind you, this is the 4th time that Mark Ruffalo has said a Hulk vs. Wolverine film is what he would like to see in an official interview with a major media outlet. He 100% knows that people are going to hear about this. He 100% knows that people like me are going to make videos on it.
You enjoy those tacos, Warren.
So it seems like something is definitely going on here, and not to mention we've actually had previous reports in the past several months ago stating that there is a Hulk vs. Wolverine film being talked about. Some of you may recall that a Hulk vs. Wolverine film was talked about last year in September. Community scooper Mikey Sutton mentioned on his Facebook group that a Hulk vs. Wolverine film was being talked about at Marvel Studios. And now, many months later, Mark Ruffalo in an interview has expressed interest in a Wolverine versus the Hulk solo film for the 4th time. So clearly something is going on over at Marvel Studios, even if it's just being talked about for the current moment. But the real question is Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. If we're having a Wolverine versus the Hulk film, who is going to be the Wolverine? Could Hugh Jackman be returning?
Every brainstorming
In Mikey Sutton's original report, they said that they're going to recast Wolverine. It will not be Hugh Jackman, and he also said that it's probably several years away. Well, now we have an official answer from Hugh Jackman himself. In an interview the other day with the Daily Beast, Hugh Jackman opened up a lot. He talked a lot about his upcoming film, Bad Education, and then of course he was asked about Wolverine. He talked about how this year in June is going to be 20 years since his debut as Wolverine in the Fox X-Men film. And then of course in the interview they had to ask if he was returning, and they said, "You were great as Wolverine, particularly in Logan, which was such a nice coda to the character. Now that Disney and Fox are merged, it does seem like there are a lot of possibilities for the X-Men universe to expand in ways that it couldn't before."
It'll be that cameo
He replied, "Totally. Honestly, Marlo, if 7 years ago that had happened, I'd be like, oh yeah. But I knew it was the right time for me to leave the party. Not just for me, but for the character. Somebody else will pick it up and run with it. It's too good of a character not to. It's kind of like you're on your way home and your friend rings you and goes, 'Oh, dude, a new DJ just came on and the music is awesome. Are you going to come back?' And you say, 'Sounds good, but no. They're fine with someone else.'" So, straight from the mouth of Hugh Jackman himself, he is done with Wolverine. And he even has mentioned before that Logan was the perfect send-off and his goodbye to the character Wolverine. Now, it is also important to note that Patrick Stewart also said the same exact thing, but he has recently met with Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige to talk about Charles Xavier in the MCU. Now, it seems kind of clear that Patrick Stewart is done, but perhaps he could be brought on board to consult for the new Professor Xavier that is coming on. Because clearly Kevin Feige talked to him about plans. Patrick Stewart said it himself. And if he's not returning, which he stated, what else could he be doing meeting with Kevin Feige? He's giving advice on the character. He's helping Kevin Feige with the direction. And it does seem like Professor Xavier is going to be headed to the MCU before Wolverine does. But when that time comes, when Wolverine enters the MCU, they will most likely speak to Hugh Jackman about the character, about the direction they want to go, about the stories they want to tell, because he was a great Wolverine. We all loved him, and it's hard to imagine anybody else as Wolverine right now. And I think that the saddest thing is about this all is that he said if it was 7 years ago and this had happened, Disney had bought Fox, he would have loved to do it. He would have loved to play Wolverine in the Marvel Cinematic Universe 7 years ago, not even like a full 10 years, but only 7 years ago, and he would have done it. We missed him just barely. But hopefully he does come back and consult with Marvel Studios about what to do with the next Wolverine that's going to enter the MCU. But this does leave us with the question of, if we do get a Hulk versus Wolverine movie, who is going to play Wolverine, which of course we can't answer right now, there's no way of knowing, and what direction are they going to take the Hulk? Well, according to the same report that Mikey stated way back last year in September, we're going to get some version of Immortal Hulk. Now, for those of you who are not aware of who Immortal Hulk is, it's a very, very different version of the Hulk, Professor Hulk, that we saw in Avengers Endgame. Immortal Hulk could quite possibly be the most terrorizing Hulk that there is. Immortal Hulk is brutal, and he even punches holes through planets. But there's also a very big psychological and emotional component to Immortal Hulk. And if we think about everything that's happened to this Hulk since the very first Avengers film all the way up to Infinity War and Endgame, there's definitely a psychological side that we have not yet explored with the Hulk. But again, if Marvel Studios does go ahead and decide to actually make a Wolverine versus Hulk film, it will probably be a few years away. Which means that we will probably see the Hulk show up before then. And as Mark Ruffalo mentioned in the interview, there are plans right now, nothing concrete, but are plans for him to appear in She-Hulk, and it makes perfect sense because we just got the official synopsis for She-Hulk. And it reads, "Following an injury, Jennifer Walters receives an emergency blood transfusion
that could happen
from
off
her
camera.
cousin, Bruce Banner, and
they could
acquires
do like
a milder
those birds of prey
version of his
shots,
Hulk
of like
condition.
Joker.
As such, Walters becomes a large, powerful, green-hued version of herself while still largely retaining her personality. In particular, she retains her intelligence and emotional control, although, like Hulk, she still becomes stronger if enraged. And it's also been revealed that shooting for the She-Hulk Disney Plus series is going to be starting starting in
What?
July and will be
We've heard
filmed
for
in Atlanta.
a while.
The synopsis basically describes
So
is that
exactly
the
who
leaked-
Jennifer Walter
leaked
is,
one?
but the good part is that, just like in the comics,
for
in this
confirming
Disney
that the
Plus series,
character is the
Jennifer
character.
Walters, or She-Hulk, is going to become the Hulk and get her condition from her cousin, who is Bruce Banner. We all assume that they're going to show some type of origin story for her, how she becomes the Hulk, so it would just make perfect sense that they would have Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner in the show. Now, we probably won't get that much hulking out from him. He'll probably just step in to save the day, but he'll still be Professor Hulk unless he somehow manages to separate himself again, which I don't think is going to happen. So it seems like the first time that we're going to see the Hulk return to the MCU is going to be She-Hulk. But the great news is that it does seem like Mark Ruffalo really wants a Hulk versus Wolverine film, and he's talked about it enough to make us believe that he's definitely talked to Kevin Feige about it, and Marvel Studios is definitely mulling it over. And even if we don't get Hugh Jackman returning as Wolverine, which it looks like we're not going to, it will still be awesome to see a Hulk versus Wolverine film. But let me know what you think about this in the comments down below.
Oh, I got
let me know
thoughts.
who you would like to play Wolverine. We're
I got
clearly not getting
thoughts.
Hugh Jackman back now, so who's your second pick? Let me know in the comments down below, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe with notifications turned on so you can stay up to date on everything happening in the MCU. For live updates, you can follow me on Twitter, and as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.
Thinking about tomorrow's dinner because it's Saturday.
Oh yeah, thinking about Sunday brunch.
Ooh. I usually just plan my meals in advance.
All the snacks too.
It's a good video.
Thanks, Warren.
Let's go get food.
Snacks? So Hugh Jackman's definitely returning.
That's what I got from this video.
And Mark Ruffalo is out as Hulk.
So are we going to get a video every time Hugh Jackman is asked a question about Wolverine?
Yeah, it's how print websites do it. Literally every time there's an interview with him about Wolverine, someone's got to report on it.
The title of the video, in all fairness, is Hugh Jackman talks if he'll return as Wolverine.
And he did talk about if he would.
And he talked in depth. He did. He compared it to a DJ getting a phone call about another DJ or something.
Like, wow, there's a whole other set of music on, but I guess I don't like music anymore.
Hugh Jackman's definitely done, and I don't see a version if you're rebooting the X-Men in the MCU where it would make sense to have Hugh Jackman, unless you do like a cameo or some universe tie-in appearance. Something like that will work, but I think being the new flagship Wolverine just wouldn't make sense for him to be Wolverine anymore.
There are so few circumstances I can imagine that would outdo Logan as a send-off. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing, is he went out on top.
And now, tomorrow, there's going to be a new video. Robert Downey Jr. talks if he'll return as Iron Man.
There's some conspiracy where, like, if he returns, then Hugh Jackman will come back, and then if Tobey Maguire comes back, you know, let's get all the original old-school cast.
In all seriousness, I have wanted a Hulk versus Wolverine movie for the longest time. I've always had a very specific vision in mind of how I would produce it. That's right. I said produce, not direct or write or star as.
Like, first you'd get a script, and then you'd find a director.
Yeah.
And then you'd assemble actors and, you know, various other department heads.
Yeah. This is a dumb joke.
That producing going.
I've always wanted it to be like a Guillermo del Toro movie. Not really what del Toro's evolved into as of late. Something along the lines of you do Hulk and you get like one of those giant performers, like an actual 10-foot tall dude. Yeah. Like whoever that guy was in The Longest Yard on the Adam Sandler reboot. When he's in Hulk form, you put him in Hulk makeup and you would do like an R-rated one-off. Like I have a hard time actually seeing a genuinely great, gritty version of Hulk versus Wolverine in the MCU. I feel like there'd be like a lot of humor and they'd probably team up in the end. You know?
They can't full out battle and have one of them be vanquished because they're like classic characters.
Well, I've always wanted to see just a one-off. Completely different actors in it. Doesn't have to be Mark Ruffalo or Hugh Jackman. Yeah, and then you could have it where like Wolverine is the bad guy. I thought that would be cool because I think people would expect Hulk, but I feel like the interesting complexity and like the whole dichotomy of the situation could come in the form of maybe like I don't know. I'm saying I don't know, like I haven't thought about this.
Don't be humble, all right.
Like Bruce Banner's on the run. He has an incident where he hulks out, and Wolverine somehow is either maybe still fresh off the Weapon X program or something, and they basically assign him to go after Banner. I don't know. I haven't really fleshed it out. That's just been like my 1 sentence, 2 sentence pitch that I've had for the longest time. But what I really wanted was an R-rated type of very lethal, violent version of Hulk versus Wolverine. I think one of them should lose and like actually lose in the end.
Not Freddy versus Jason lose.
Yeah.
Nobody really loses.
Yeah, just a solid one-off. I think that'd be cool. And then I think in the MCU it would be funny. It wouldn't be all the awesome artwork we've seen of Hulk versus Wolverine, basically. It wouldn't be that.
It wouldn't be that The Thing image of his face ripping in half.
That's what I mean. Like, you can't do that in the MCU. Like, I'm looking at that image, and the longer I linger on it, the more disturbed I am by it. And I think if you did that in the MCU, it just wouldn't fly by well, especially under the Disney umbrella.
Not right now. That's the big thing I'm waiting for, and I'm happy that DC is, claiming that at the moment. But when Marvel really can start doing one-off side movies that aren't beholden yet to the main continuity, I think there's a lot of exciting stuff that could happen. I think that's where you would see a potential Hugh Jackman come back for some random take on Wolverine or whatever.
And this whole business about Mark Ruffalo, like in talks to possibly return and all that, I was always under the impression he was still in the MCU. I thought it was just about what's the next project he's going to be in for the MCU, but I didn't realize that there was this question in the air. Will Mark Ruffalo return or not? I'm like, I didn't feel like the character concluded, and all the talk went to Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. leaving. I didn't really hear anything circling around. Like, yes, I heard about the Ragnarok to Endgame arc, and that was like intentional, but that didn't ever sound to me as if Mark Ruffalo could potentially be done with the Hulk. Well, never read that way to me.
It's not like every character who appears in the present of Endgame is just done with now. And so, yeah, exactly. I feel like if there was some kind of send-off, we would have known.
Yeah.
Mark Ruffalo is clearly enthusiastic, too. It's not even like he's getting tired of this. He seems to just want to do more of this. And also, we haven't seen him do a solo Hulk movie at all, which seems to be a problematic proposal on the heels of several generations ago when we got Incredible Hulk. But I would love to see him just have his own Hulk movie.
Well, Bruce Banner and Hulk since Ragnarok have both become very funny characters.
True.
They have completely switched and like gone far away from Hulk is scary, or
tortured.
Yeah, they've really gone far from that. And I think there's a really great Hulk movie waiting to be made. I'm not sure exactly what it is that they haven't been able to properly tap into. I think you got to make it a little gritty. I think that's what they're a little afraid of.
Is Vai's a rage-fueled character. You have to.
Yeah.
That's
like Darren Aronofsky could weirdly make a great Hulk movie.
It would be so bleak, but it would be great.
Yeah,
this guy,
I would like it.
With his obsession getting lost in this power.
Yeah. I'd be really down for that now that I think about it. Yeah.
Plus, you get some of he's already worked with CGI. You think of those big rock monsters from like Noah. You just apply that theory to Hulk. Get Russell Crowe or something.
Anyway, guys, Hulk versus Wolverine. Do you want it to happen within the MCU? Would you prefer it to be a little bit more along the lines of what I'm wishing for? Leave your thoughts down below. Hey, subscribe to Cosmic Wonder. Subscribe to The Real Rejects. Let's do a...
For Jason Dolan and Andrew Hayes, we're continuing this theme of hypothetical meetups between some of our favorite patrons. And this is a scene I wrote of Andrew and Jason meeting in a public park. Are you ready? Exterior public park day. Andrew Hayes stands with a camera in hand, taking a Dutch angle of a fountain. On the opposite side, Jason Dolan, selfie stick attached to a phone, recording himself and one of his many talented friends for a 12-hour film festival. As Andrew's pan clears the fountain, Jason enters frame. The two lock eyes.
Hayes!
Dolan.
Making an experimental short, I see. This is me bald, by the way.
Yeah? Making another quirky short film entry from an obscure film festival?
How did you know?
I have my sources.
Is that so? And have your sources told you that I'm working on an experimental short film that's gonna knock your freaking socks off?
Impossible!
Apparently your sources don't know everything, like Grace Randolph.
Well, then again, maybe this is all one big reaction. Did you ever think of that?
Reaction? What are you talking about, Hayes?
Dolan, Dolan, don't you see? You've played right into my hands. Dolan takes a step back on his guard. That's right. This is all one try not to feel like you're being watched challenge, so you can make whatever little experimental short film you want to, throw in as many esoteric transitions, symbolic images, and philosophical voiceovers as you like. It's still a part of my masterwork. A beat passes before. Slowly, one after the other, Jason begins clapping, a grin spreading across his face.
Excellent, Andrew. Well done. You were perfect.
Of course I am. What's your point?
Don't you see? The whole time you've been a part of my try not to break the fourth wall challenge. And since you've just acknowledged your master plan, I win.
A moment passes as the two stare at each other, smoldering with righteous hatred and begrudging respect. And there's only one way to settle this.
Way ahead of you, buddy.
And they both increase their pledges on Patreon. Hope you guys enjoyed this hypothetical situation. Love you both. Stay safe and healthy. Peace.
Okay.